Hey, everybody, we're going to be jumping into what it means to be an American. Why should we care? I think if you listen in, you're going to get pumped up. I got a special friend with me, and you're going to learn a lot. So get ready. Take notes. Here we go.
Real Life presents the Jack Hibbs podcast with intention and boldness to proclaim truth, equip the saints, and impact our culture. Today, if this podcast lifts you up and encourages you to live a more fulfilled life in Christ, then make sure you leave us one of those 5-star ratings. To us, that's like saying amen or yes. Then that rating will encourage others to listen. Now open your hearts to what God's Word has to say to you. Here is Jack Hibbs.
Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Jack Hibbs podcast. And we want to thank you, first of all, for just being part of the many people that are joining us and subscribing. And we're very delighted. I have to tell you guys, I have the chance to do a lot of media, and we're grateful, but I don't have as much fun as I do getting together with you guys. I think it's because we can be open and just with you as though we're sitting around a table. Today, you guys, I not only have a friend with us, but you actually have a friend at the table today, and because it is the fact that he defends and stands for our constitutional rights and freedoms. So I'm talking about Rick Green. He's known as America's constitutional coach, and that's exactly what he does. He's a former Texas state representative, a national speaker, author, and a radio host. And Rick co-hosts the national daily radio podcast, The Wall Builders. Of course, that's the wonderful work of Tim and David Barton that's out there. Love those guys as well. In fact, that's how I met Rick, was originally through David Barton. And then, Rick, you're the founder of the Patriot Academy, an elite leadership training program specializing in the civics with a biblical worldview approach, which I absolutely love. And I want to make sure we talk about that because I think during COVID, didn't that explode?
We did, yeah.
So we'll talk about that. And then finally, Rick and his wife, Kara, they have 4 grown kids. And this is old. This is 2 grandchildren.
5 now. Well, 4 on the ground, 1 in the oven. I count them as soon as they're in the oven. So yes,
that's right. That's awesome, brother. It's great being with you. And I just
always good to see you, brother.
Man,
yeah.
There's something about this man. He's a winsome warrior.
I like that.
How about that? He's a winsome warrior. He fights the fight. I love this guy's DNA, and he'll fight the fight with a smile on his face. And I can see Rick entering heaven with his armor dented and soiled and a big smile on his face. Mission complete.
That's a California thing.
What?
I mean, I'm a Texan, but Ronald Reagan, he's the one that said, be a happy warrior out to take back a country and a world of freedom.
You're right.
See, California influenced a Texan.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll take it. So where do we start with this? Tell us about what you're involved in. And I do want to hear about just the pivot that happened in our nation during the COVID time where people began to dive in. I think they felt their rights threatened.
Oh, yeah, man. They felt the pain.
So let's talk about it.
It's the whole tough times make tough men make good times make soft men lead us back into tough times. And they felt the tough times.
Yeah.
They said, we got to do something about this. So, we were getting tons of calls. Okay, can a governor actually shut us down? Do we have to get permission to be able to even open our church? Do I have to close my business even though everybody's healthy? I mean, all those things that you went through. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, but it was probably late February, maybe early March. I mean, it was right when all the insanity was happening of 2020. Yeah. And you came on Wall Builders. Yeah. And you said at the time, Rick, this is going to separate the wheat from the chaff. I'll never forget it. And then it happened. I mean, within the church, within the conservative movement, you had Republicans that were becoming tyrants as well. It literally separated the people that actually believe in biblical, timeless principles of liberty and those who it was finger to the wind, whatever's popular. So, it was a crazy time. We grew 400% that year. It just kept growing, and I think people are hungry to know truth. They want some solid ground. They're tired of these shifting sand, kind of sinking really, especially for the young people. So they're looking for truth. And the good news is we got it, man. We got the instruction manual. God gave it to us, and our founding documents are full of that truth. So we just got to bring those things back, and I think people will latch on to it, including here in California.
Okay, so to this, I want to just kind of dial down on this.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the fact that we as a people, we get to go back, as the scripture says, to those ancient foundations, those ancient pillars. Just kind of let the viewer in on, as America, because so many people don't know, as America, when you say go back to our founding and go back to the original intent of all things regarding the birth of this republic, tell the people, what is it that we're going back to?
Yeah.
As Americans, we get to go back to something. What is that something that makes us different?
The timing's perfect too, Jack, because the 250th is coming up. So the 250th birthday of the nation, 312 days from right now, 250th birthday of America. So what are we celebrating? The Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
And right there in the heart of the Declaration is the secret sauce that made America great in the first place. And it begins with, we hold these truths. So the fact that there's a foundation of truth, moral absolutes, right and wrong, that we built the nation upon. And then, of course, we often talk about we're endowed by our Creator. So, they now tell us that you're a crazy Christian nationalist if you believe your freedom comes from God and not from government. Well, Jefferson would have been that, right? Because he's literally saying that in the document.
Exactly true.
And it's what made us different. I mean, that meant you're not the source of my freedom.
Yeah.
I'm not the source of your freedom, so you can't take my freedom away. I can't take your freedom away. Government's certainly not the source of our freedom. God's the source. And then he tells us right there in the Declaration that to secure these rights, this is after life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So what's he saying? The whole reason we have government is to protect the God-given rights that we have. So the biblical foundations of the country is what made us great. Now, some people get nervous when we say we want to go back to those foundations because they've been so lied to.
That's right.
About who we are as a nation. They think when you and I say that, we're actually saying we want to go back to slavery or we want to go back to, something else that was not good in our history.
That's right.
We believe in teaching all of American history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And even when you teach the ugly, you will find that America was actually the first nation to ban the slave trade, the fourth nation to ban slavery completely. We had the shortest stint of slavery in the world. And in 1776, every nation had slavery, black on black, black on white, white on black, white on red, red on, you pick the combination, right? So the American story is actually amazing, even when you take the bad parts. But what the left has done in education is only teach the bad parts and actually exaggerate them, make them even worse than they actually were. And so when we say go back, we're talking about going back to the principles of liberty. Self-government, church government, not thinking civil government is the end-all, be-all to everything. Right. That's what I mean. Going back to the principles that make a nation great.
I love what you just said. In fact, going way back, I love to take our church as far back as we can, in the sense of the Pilgrim Fathers.
Yeah.
You got to remember, our founding fathers talked about the founding fathers.
That's right. That's right. That's good.
Our founding fathers said, oh, no, the founding fathers were those aboard the Mayflower. Yeah. And I might be off on this, but not far off. The Mayflower Compact is basically two big paragraphs. It's not much. It takes maybe, a minute to read at the most. And right at the beginning, they announced that we've come here to this continent to propagate the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so I remember, like you do, Barack Obama was in Cairo, Egypt, and he was being interviewed. And he had made the comment that the United States was never founded upon Judeo-Christian worldview values. And I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. That's probably what he knows.
Yeah.
That's how he's been taught. But the truth is...
Yeah, don't forget who his mentor was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly that.
Jeremiah Wright.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so all of this stuff where you talked about rights coming from God, truth.
Yeah.
Man, the progressive left hates that. So they've got to react like it's poison. You're going to bring back slavery and tyranny and you're going to have, women, barefoot pregnant in the kitchen again. They have no idea that this is the nation, because they've not been taught this. This is the nation that has been the birthplace of liberty to the extent that even with all of America's problems of late, people are still trying to immigrate to this country.
Amen.
There are more, I looked this up, there are more people annually who try to legally immigrate to the United States by application than all other nations of the earth combined, annually.
Wow.
Imagine that.
Well, and we also have more here than the second, third, fourth, and fifth nations combined.
That's
immigrants, just actual immigrants.
That's remarkable.
Of illegal or illegal.
Yeah.
So you take the next four combined, not as much as we. So if we're so bad, Jack, why does everybody want to come here?
Well, not only that, if we're so bad, why is everybody wanting to break in here?
Yeah.
Think about that. You can't break into Saudi Arabia. You can't walk into London. I was in Europe not too long ago, and everything about me getting out of that airport was biometrics and enhanced. I just came last week, Rick, or 2 weeks ago. I was in Peru, and to get into the country of Peru, I've never seen this before. Both hands on a pane of glass, a light. Like a copy machine went under the palms of my hands.
Wow.
Then I had to rub my temples and put my fingers into a bio. I forget what it was some sort of biodetection system where it matched my DNA to the fingerprint. In Peru. I couldn't believe it.
We went there like 5 years ago. I mean, I don't remember any. That's wild.
I was so impressed. Yeah. And then we came back to LA from Lima, and it's like, yeah, come on, let's go.
So bad.
But it's like, what in the world's going on here?
Well, you could tell by my accent. I'm a bit of a country boy. Okay,
yeah,
and my test is simple: whether or not a nation has good principles and is producing good results. Are people trying to get in? Are they trying to dig tunnels to get out? And America's, there's a reason it's called the American dream, not the North Korean dream.
That's right.
Or the Cuban dream. I mean, we have something special that the rest of the world has always wanted, and it all goes back to that secret sauce. And even the Mayflower Compact, think about it. That was the self-government. That was they're saying, okay, when we get off this boat, we need to be able to govern ourselves. And so it's really just saying, what's the best way to form society? What's the best way to treat your neighbors? And the Christian principle of treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated is really at the foundation of all of our laws. We just simply want to treat each other the way we want to be treated, just like the Bible teaches us to do.
And you're training people how to not only own that conversation, but to propagate that. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, and how to do it effectively, right?
That's right.
How do you learn, what does the Bible say about how I need to be a good citizen and a good neighbor? But then how do I do that within these rule books, within this system of a constitutional republic? And so teaching people the Constitution, teaching them how a legislative process works, how do you go testify at the school board? Wow. All of these things are just basically living out your faith and making politics, as Charles Finney said, part of our religion in a country such as this.
Yes.
Because as a constitutional republic, and you say this in our biblical citizenship class, that biblical citizenship is stewardship. I play that clip everywhere I go because you summed it up perfectly. That is exactly why we go testify, why we get involved. We don't want to be the wicked and slothful servant. We want to be the good and faithful servant, and God's He's dropped us into a free nation. Whether we like it or not, we live in a nation where we the people are in charge. So we can't just say, I wish the politicians would get it right, and then go over here and be busy with everything. We have to say, I wish they get it right, and you know what? I have a voice. I get to influence what they're doing. So it's all about stewardship, and we have a blast doing it, man. We don't do the boring, history and government.
There's nothing boring with Rick Green.
I slept through those classes in high school and college because they were so boring. Just memorize dates or whatever. Yeah. So David Barton taught me to bring the stories to life. And so in the same way, we put people into a legislature. So when we do our youth programs around the country, we do them in state capitals. So we're on the Real House floor in committees. When we train pastors or military veterans or any of those things, we actually rebuilt the Texas House legislative chambers on our campus at Patriot Academy. So now we can do that every week.
So they're arguing in a real life setting.
Literally our dais, I had some Amish carpenters from Pennsylvania come in, and they rebuilt the dais exactly like the one at the Texas House. And then I've got the Mayflower. I've got all the paintings from the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol, and we put those in the room so we can, just point to it and say, well, here's what they were doing. It just makes it, it brings it to life. But if you put a pastor in a situation like that, where they're learning how to file a bill, get it out of committee, get it to the House floor, have to defend it, be able to think biblically but speak secularly. I mean, all of those things.
Right on.
When they leave our campus, now they go back home, and when it's time to talk to a legislator or it's time to recruit someone out of their church to run for the legislature, there's a whole different set of skills there that they now have. So you just multiply that. Young people, pastors, I mean, I like to say it this way, we're raising up the Navy SEALs of civics. We're literally giving you the tip of the spear, the people that can be effective at this and win the day.
I love what you're saying right now, because it's our experience here at this church. Now, we've been here for 3.5 decades now doing this, and thank God for people like you, although there's nobody like you. But what you've taught us over the years, we've got young people now who've come through the ranks over the years. And my goodness, we've got some of them that are federal prosecutors now, some of them in the CIA, some of them in the Department of Justice under Trump's administration currently right now. We've got a young man who went through our homeschool process, which would have meant that they went through some of your stuff, and we're really excited about this young man. I'm not going to say his name right now, but he was an Eagle Scout. He went through the U.S. Marines and then into the Navy test pilot school, and we're excited because now he's flying President Trump. He's the helicopter pilot.
You're kidding
for Trump.
me. Oh, how cool is that? Oh, man.
But here's a kid that grew up loving American history because he understood it. He was taught it.
Well, and because you create an environment here where people don't see that as, dirty. I can't go do that. Instead, that's just part of life.
You get to do that.
You get to do that. And then you mentor. In fact, tonight I'm going to talk about Psalm 78. And you guys do the opposite of Psalm 78. The Ephraimites in Psalm 78 ran from the battle even though they were armed to the teeth. You guys do the opposite. You're in the battle. No matter how much you're armed or not, you're going to teach people how to live life effectively in every area. The movies, our entertainment, our politics, our education, there's nothing off limits. You guys don't allow anybody to box something out of God's influence.
Yeah. There's no way. And you know this. I'm not telling you anything. But your stance, my stance, is when Jesus said, "Let your light so shine before men." I love that. The Greek language makes this distinction. Let your light shine before all men. And it encompasses unbelievers. So think about that. The one believer with the light is deployed into a world of unbelievers.
Good.
Think about that picture. And so when you let that light shine, Jesus went on to say that they will glorify the Lord, or they will see your good works. And you say, well, wait a minute. When we go to Sacramento, Newsom doesn't applaud us out his balcony. No, he doesn't. But in the day of judgment, everything that we stand for what is right, even if we lose, right? If we lose the battle here, we win the war. We're us standing for righteousness. It's going to translate into victory, because the issue will be, Christian, did you live to advance the light in a dark world? Win or lose, did you advance it? Yes, we advanced it. And so I got to tell you, Rick, and I think I speak on behalf of our congregation, when we put everything we have into the fight for what this is, like trying to stop a very bad bill that's dangerous to family or to the unborn child, when we fight with all of our might, and if we lose, if they do whatever they do up there in Sacramento, you know what? We wish we would have won.
But you did your duty.
But we did our duty. Our conscience is clear.
Amen.
And it's up to God.
I got a friend in Delaware, and Delaware is even worse than California, brother. I mean, it's like crazy land, okay? And she runs the Family Policy Council out there. So she's constantly fighting what people would say are losing battles.
Yes.
And she taught me a long time ago. She said, no, Rick, they're not losing battles. We define victory as advancing truth.
Perfect.
So if we're advancing truth, Nicole Tice is her name. She's amazing.
Her.
And to stay in that fight like that and continue to advance truth, it's exactly what you just described. It's the same. In Texas, I lose battles all the time that we're pushing for certain things, but we're advancing truth every time. People that run for office and end up not winning, but they're out there knocking on doors, visiting with somebody, advancing truth with every conversation. It's so important to have that mindset. It's that, the John Quincy Adams story, but his whole thing after fighting slavery for 17 years was duty is ours, results are God's. So if we take that into the arena, man, we can do it with a smile on our face. We can be happy warriors because we know this whole thing doesn't depend on me. I'm supposed to do my duty, but thank you, God, that the results are yours.
Well, I love the fact that God told David, show up, sanctify yourself today. Tomorrow you're going to go into battle. Show up, and God will take over. As you said, Quincy Adams said, the results are God's. But the thing is, why do Christians think, well, gosh, Rick, Jack, I really don't want to mix politics with my faith. Rick, tell them how wrong they are.
Well, I've started saying this, and I don't know, maybe I'm being too sarcastic, but I want to live in a neighborhood where people think that murder is wrong. I want to live in a neighborhood where stealing is not only wrong, there's not a $900 exception to the 8th commandment.
Can you say that a little louder? Sacramento's about 500 miles north of us.
I want to live in a neighborhood where the neighbors, we're all trying to raise our children to honor their father and mother. And it's back to that treating people the way you want to be treated. To not mix your politics or your faith with your politics is to basically say that you're okay with people who don't believe in those things that I just listed calling the shots. You're okay with people being in charge of your state legislature or your local school board that actually want to groom 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds, that are actually okay with sexualizing these kids or creating the psychotropic drugs and the transgenders, that yet another mass murder at a church because of the hatred towards God and the hatred towards people of faith. You're okay with that if you don't want to mix your politics with your faith. I think the only way to do politics is to mix your faith with. I guarantee the other side is their faith is in humanism and
you hit the nail on the head. Just coming down here to be with you today on the news, what was being discussed was the reason why this shooting in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
At this Catholic church / school. I understand, from, at least right now, this is my understanding. It could be wrong, but there was a school on the campus of a church.
That's right.
And this person was a transgender individual. Yet again, sad to say, yet again.
Yeah, yet again.
Yet again. And so one report said this. I believe it was a medical doctor. They said, we need to stop and look at the medications that are being given to the transitioning, because it could be something that is a precursor to violent activity.
Yeah.
Okay, as a scientist, I respect where he's coming from. He didn't talk about morality. He just said we need to look at the drugs that they're using to transition, because there's too many transgender people that are going off the rails with these guns and with violence. That said, the next interview was someone saying, you know why this happened? Is because transgender people do not feel welcomed.
Wow.
And this person just snapped under the pressure of not feeling loved. And I thought for a moment, what in the world is going on? Kids are dead. But this person is defending the transgender community in light of this horrific event. And it's remarkable to me, but when who said this, that when we forget God, when we cancel our relationship with God, and there is no God in our thinking, then people die. Because the value of life is so dramatically diminished.
And the chaos increases. There's no right and wrong. You turn into, it's actually how you end up in tyranny too. Because if there is no right and wrong and everybody's doing whatever they want, we don't know what a woman is, we don't know what right and wrong is, we're allowing the crime, all that. At some point, the people break and they say, we need somebody to come clean this mess up, and no matter what it takes, we want to clean it. And so they're willing to start giving up their rights for government to become bigger and bigger, just to keep us from killing each other. Like you said, for people from dying. Yeah, I saw where the mayor up there, which actually I blame the riots of 2020 on him anyway, because he's the one that said when that first riot took place, let them burn the police precinct, and that sent the signal to the whole country. Yeah. You can do whatever you want for this summer. And Jacob Fay, anyway, he's already lambasting people for even mentioning that the murderer is transgender. Yeah. And, that makes about as much sense. That's insanity. You should know why somebody, you're looking for every reason. I don't care, whatever about their history you need to know to figure out why this thing happened. But it also goes back to the psychotropic drugs, even, you go all the way back to Columbine. I mean, all of these mass murder events, in fact, I would say virtually every one. I've yet to find one where they didn't, where they proved that there weren't some sort of psychotropic drugs involved. It is definitely messing with the brain. They're rewiring something. There's no doubt about it. Doesn't mean it happens to everybody that takes those drugs, but the increase is off the charts, absolutely. But it's also just if there's no right and wrong, if there is no God, if there is no, if I'm done when I'm dead, that creates a different mindset in someone.
Exactly.
And so that's why when God's in the equation, doesn't mean you get rid of all the depravity of man. That's the other thing about our worldview and having faith influence our politics. We don't believe man's inherently good. We understand that man's inherently bad. Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is evil, no man can know it.
That's right.
So we want laws that actually, suppress the bad and don't encourage the bad. The other side, because they don't believe in a God, they say just let everybody. They actually think people are inherently good. Yeah. Let them be who you are. The whole thing about just be you. Man, you don't want me to be me.
Right. Oh, exactly.
If I go be my depraved, wretched self, it's bad for everybody. Jesus, my wife, my kids, everybody. Right?
Jesus died on the cross, so I wouldn't have to be.
I don't want to be me. I want to be like
the me I used to be.
What a difference that produces in society.
And the fight that I have now is it's not with this legislator or that congressman or governor or this cult or whatever. My biggest fight is against the old Jack trying to come back every day.
Amen, man.
Oh my goodness. So, good. Rick, with our nation and the condition that it's in right now, I know this is kind of silly, but let's just kind of play this out. Imagine it's just us. There's no camera. There's no podcast going on. If our founding fathers were to land today at LAX, for example, and start to walk around and see what's going on, what do you think their mind what would they see in their minds? What would there be reacting to?
Yeah. Well, let's start with Ben Franklin. I think he would say, I told Miss Powell right afterwards, I said, a republic, if you can keep it. Why didn't y'all keep it? Why didn't you do the things necessary? Why didn't you listen to Washington in his farewell address? Religion and morality are indispensable supports. We gave you all the warnings, right? We handed you this incredible system, and you did pretty good with it for a few years, but honestly, that we did exactly, again, Psalm 78, we didn't teach the rising generation. We didn't pass the torch intact. We didn't teach them what God was doing in history, I think they would figure it out really quick, because they would notice that the patriotism was gone, that the lack of love of these principles was gone. We used to say, I don't agree necessarily with what you said, but I'd fight and die for your right to speak that, because we love the principle of free speech. We'd say, I don't necessarily agree with your faith or your sect of Christianity, or even your faith in other religions, but
or no faith at all,
but I'll fight and die for your right to
100%.
do that. Right? We used to love the principles of liberty, and we let the education system teach our children. I can't even name another country that did this, to hate their own nation.
To hate their own country.
Literally hate their own nation. Hate, of course, as Ron DeSantis says, hate each other and hate themselves. I mean, so the education system really is at the heart of all of that, and it goes back to what you said. Our faith no longer informed our politics, so we decided we weren't going to influence what was going on in the classroom, and we let the left take over. And they knew. I mean, you know all this going back to the 1920s, and they knew if we can take the education system, we can take the nation. And it took them a long time to do it. It didn't happen overnight. It took literally 6 or 7 decades.
They were like plotters.
Absolutely, man. Scratching and clawing every step of the way. And we're microwave, we want it instantly, and that's why people get involved and they get excited for a little while, and if they don't turn California around overnight, they give up. Are you kidding me? It's going to take time.
It takes a long time to turn a big ship.
Yeah, turn a big ship, and for the nation, the same way. I mean, I'm shocked at how much ground we're gaining right now, honestly. I mean, I would have never dreamed we would have gained this much ground back this quickly. I was in for I'm probably going to be dead and gone when the ground is, but I'm passing the torch to these kids we're training up. We got, but look, bro, there's a lot of positive ground being taken. Now, I would argue that everything, for instance, President Trump's doing is air cover. It's temporary. That we have to do the long-term changes locally. We have to do this in our neighborhoods, our churches. That's what'll end up lasting.
So that's a good way of putting it. And I'm so glad you said that, because there are so many Christians that I think put so much on President Trump to kind of, honestly, to do what they're not willing to even do themselves. Yeah. Where he's put his life on the line. What did he just say the other day? That if he would not have run for president, he would have been $2.5 billion richer.
Lives, fortunes,
shot at,
sacred honor.
Exactly. All of that. Yeah. All of that stuff. And
shot at.
And shot.
Yeah. I mean, you know what, though? I got to say this. This is that happy warrior thing. I mean, God's design is so amazing. If he had been president in 2020 or 2021,
it wouldn't have worked.
None of this would be happening. They radicalized him to love liberty and to love God and to love the biblical foundation. I mean, could you imagine him saying all the things that he says now if he had been getting 21, 22? I mean, it's literally the count it all joy when you experience various trials, right? Yeah. James, because of all that. There's no stopping him, man.
Listen, this is so cool, because in a normal setting, any second-term president. Now, granted, we had this nightmare 4 years in between. That said, that was the plan of God.
But that also woke up our people.
We woke up. Let's be honest, everybody. Let's back up. We thought Trump was crazy when we heard words like, "I'm going to drain the swamp."
Yeah,
we're thinking, what? Fake news.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then the guy says this, and we're going like, really? And then he's right.
Yeah.
He talks about Russian collusion being Hillary's idea, and what's her thing, the whole company, the dossier, Steele, all of this stuff. Trump's nuts. And it turns out he was right. And then Trump says this, and it turns out he's right.
Yeah.
And I think Bill Maher recently said, why is he always right? And it's true. The guy's right.
He's even turned Bill Maher on a lot of stuff. I mean, when you got a guy like Bill Maher saying, Democrats, you're crazy, you got to stop doing this. I mean, of course, he's feeling the pain of his party losing is really what's driving him. But, man, you're right. I couldn't admit it back in 2016, right? In 2016, I was like, oh, God, what are you doing to us? And Barton actually said on the air around September of that year, he said, Rick, we had godly men like Ted Cruz and all these guys running in the primary, and God gave us Donald Trump. Yeah. He said, I don't know why, but he loves to confound our wisdom and use people that we wouldn't think could be used, Balaam and the donkey, right?
Yep, I mean, that he did.
And my goodness, man, I am such a Reagan guy that I named a kid Reagan. I got another kid born on Reagan's birthday, and I used to have a dog named Dutch. Okay, I'm a Reagan nut. I did a Reagan documentary back 30 years ago. I mean, I love Ronald Reagan. I had to move Donald Trump in front of Ronald Reagan on my list of best presidents.
I'm in that club.
That was a weird moment, man.
I'm in that club.
It is remarkable. And the people around him. I mean, you've got people there. We've got Patriot Academy
Any one
grads.
of them could be presidents.
Oh, my goodness. It's unreal.
Some have said, I don't know if it's true or not, you might know, some have said that this is the strongest cabinet in American history.
I would say that. I would agree with that. Absolutely.
So
look at how effective they are. And then the fact that the brilliance of having a Democrat like Tulsi Gabbard be the one to bring out the sword and, literally bring out the gauntlet and throw it down and call it a treasonous conspiracy, the things that she's been uncovering. It's a masterful. It is an absolutely masterful team.
It is. I firmly, personally believe that this is the grace and the workings of God.
Amen.
Because as savvy as Trump is, I'm not going to say a name, but there's someone that I know very well who is with him often. In the first presidency, Trump was in office for 4 weeks, and I was in D.C., and I asked this gentleman, what's it like to be with them? And his first thing out of his mouth proved to be prophetic. He said, what I've learned in 4 weeks is never play poker with Donald Trump.
Wow.
You're going to lose.
No kidding.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the cool thing, so he had his first term, then there was this nightmare, and then the second term where somebody might say, well, he's a lame duck. That's impossible. It's impossible because the way that God set it up, even if Trump would have been back-to-back 8 years elected that way, people might have labeled him as a lame duck. But those 4 years of Biden, like you said it earlier, so amped up Trump, fighting for his own freedom, fighting for our freedom, and he never stopped. In those 4 years of Biden, Trump never stopped working the phones and internationally working the global leaders.
Yeah.
He was always still speaking to them. And he was saying, when I get back in.
Yeah.
He was telling them, when I get back in, remember, I'm going to get back in. And he kind of put them on notice. I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And then he's back by the grace of God. And so now, if you think about it, Rick, as strong as the Republican bench is, if Trump lives his term out, or if he were to die today, when he's out of the office, tell me, in the world, who's a global leader? Who holds the command of the world's attention as a leader? Will it be Parliament in England? Is it Moscow? Is it Putin? No. Think about it. Trump is the undisputed global leader of the world right now, and you can just see what his success has been with NATO and others.
Yeah.
But to me, that's both great and scary at the same time.
Right.
But we are watching someone who will never see this again.
Not in our lifetime, for sure. And the difference in even you watch him and you listen to the things he's saying, and in the first term, you could tell that his legacy was at the top of his list, like how he was viewed, right? And then during that 4 years of just hell on earth that the world had to go through, that interview with, I'm trying to remember who it was, if it was Hannity or something, I can't remember who it was, but he's in this interview, and no, it was Tucker. It was when he was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and he said, these people hate America. Yes. And you could see the resignation in his eyes. Because remember how he didn't go after Hillary. And it was lock her up in 2016. And then in 2017, when he got sworn in, there in the rotunda, he bragged on Bill and Hillary, said nice things, tried to make peace and didn't go after him. I think he really believed that all of the sniping at each other was just the campaign, and everybody really does love America, and once the campaign's over, we'll are going to pull together for the country, right? And then he found out, no, these people really want to sink this ship. And so I think that resignation and realizing that made him no longer care so much about the legacy. I really have to save the country. I really have to save America, and by so doing, save freedom for people all over the planet. And you see it in his actions. Even when he was, I think it was right after the meeting with Putin, he said something to the effect of Hannity, he said something to the effect of, it's not about me, it's not about whether or not I can bring peace. This is about saving millions of lives. He didn't used to say stuff like that, right? No. There's just, and I'm not, I don't know what his faith journey is. I don't know how much that moment.
I think he's on it, I hope.
I think he is too.
I think he's on it.
When he went down, when he got up and had that, the hole in his ear and the blood coming out of his ear, and I was at some event and everybody's watch, get on TV, and I'm watching that clip, pull that clip out. Instantly I thought, bulletproof George Washington. 23 years old, Battle of Monongahela up in Pennsylvania.
Multiple shots.
Multiple horses shot out, bullets in the jacket, bullets fragments in his hair, and then he writes a letter to his brother the next day and says, "Bullets were flying past my ear and it sounded like music."
He loved it.
He loved it. He had and Trump got up. War horse, right? That's a war horse that only God can infuse that into you.
Those are moments. In fact, that a lot of Democrats said in that moment, he's going to be president.
Yeah, it's
Remember
over.
That? It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's that.
And only God could have.
Only God.
I'm on a lot of shows with a lot of different people of all kinds of Christian faith, right? And sometimes it's people that are. I'm a pretty charismatic guy, but even more charismatic than me. That's the only way I know to say it, right? And a lot of times there's prophecies and that sort of thing, right? And I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm just always like, okay, God, I want to know it's you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when people would say, Trump's anointed, I never would echo that. I would always be like, I just don't know if I can.
So agree.
When that happened and he got up, and then I started learning more about where the slide normally is and where he,
and they showed the computer rendering, the head turning.
I'm like, okay, God. He's anointed. I mean, only you could have made that happen.
No one. You would have to be an absolute atheist on steroids to say, that was just luck. Luck.
Just luck.
Luck.
Yeah.
No. It's just, I don't buy that.
Remarkable.
And I mean, even if somebody said, okay, here's the deal. I really want to be president. I think it's going to take an attempt on my life. So can you lay down in that barn and just graze my ear right about here? Take out a few. Come on. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But that moment, I don't know if I told you this or not, but that happened on a Saturday, if I remember right.
By the way, only about 30 minutes from where the Washington Battle of the Monongahela happened. So Butler, Pennsylvania is right out there.
I didn't know this.
Really
no one's ever said this.
Yeah, really close to where Washington's battle.
Does Trump know this?
I don't know. It's right there, yeah. Outside of Pittsburgh.
So
sorry, I interrupted you.
No. So that happened, I think, wasn't it a Saturday?
I think it was, yeah. Yeah,
and
July.
So I came home from church on Sunday. So Saturday, Trump is shot. I come home from church on Sunday, and my phone rings, and it's one of Trump's advisors. And they said, I'm going to give you Trump's cell number.
Oh, wow.
I'm asking you to call him right now.
Wow.
And I want you to pray for him. And I said, hang on a second. You're going to give me Trump's number, and he's going to pick up the phone. Yeah, come on. And he said, he's going to answer.
Wow.
He will answer the phone. I said, okay. So I called on Monday morning. So it was about 6 a.m. Pacific time. So 9 a.m. Eastern time. I dial the number, and the phone, I hear this, hello, and all you could hear people talking. It sounded like he was at like a ballroom event or something. Just lots of noise, all this kind of stuff. And he goes, hello. And I said, Mr. President? And he said, yes. I said, you don't know who I am. We've met before. That's not the point. But I was given your number to pray for you. Can I pray for you? Yes, of course.
Wow.
I pray for him. And in the prayer, I say, Lord, the next time the world sees Donald Trump on his knees, may it be before your throne in glory and bowing the knee to Jesus as Lord, because the world has seen him on his knees having been shot. So Lord, please. And I said, amen. He said, amen. I'm in a meeting. Let's talk again.
Wow.
And the only thing since that time has been text.
Yeah.
But the point is this. It immediately had hit me, that famous picture where he's on his knees, he's between the legs of that Secret Service agent, the blood's coming down. And, what a moment where an American president, because Putin saw that, all the world leaders saw that, they're watching that. How's he going to handle this? And I would have normally been critical of him standing up and saying, fight, fight, fight. I wasn't. Instantly, I wasn't. There was this move that we all experienced internally where that's an American.
Yeah, amen.
That is an American.
Amen. That's what got Elon Musk involved. Remember, he said when I saw that, I knew that's a guy that's going to get things done.
That's right.
So even that, going back to our discussion about bringing back the principles, if you notice the libertarians and some of the leftists. I mean, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk both called themselves leftists 3 years ago. But I think they have seen enough of the pain. And the libertarian wing has kind of seen the everybody do whatever feels good turn into we don't know what a woman is and total chaos. And they're starting to come over and say, you know what, there's good. I mean, even Rogan's phrase, what was it? He said, I'd rather have Jesus than the Big Bang, or I choose Jesus instead of the Big Bang. So he's on a spiritual journey.
Yes.
My friend Adam Curry, I don't know if you know Adam or not. He's the Podfather, guy that invented the podcast, and he goes to our church in Fredericksburg. Rogan's the one that nicknamed him that. And anyway, he's a baby Christian, 3 years into his faith, and just incredible. He says, I'm a Jesus freak now. And so he's been on Rogan like 4 times. So he went on in February, and he handed him the Founder's Bible. Because he'd just gone through our class, Biblical Citizenship.
Please get the Founder's Bible, folks. Get it.
Oh, it's so good. And so he gave it to Rogan. He said, now, this is a Bible, but it's also got a lot of cool history stories that you'll like. And then he told him about the monument to the forefathers that, Kirk Cameron found, and we did that in our Biblical class. And so anyway, apparently he's, going to church at a place in Austin. So I just bring that as an example to say, those are big names. Now, Elon's, he calls himself a cultural Christian, so he's more of a Franklin that just says, hey, you Christians make good citizens.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of you. Joe, I think, is I think he could, really be, I think the Lord is really luring him in. Let's just put it that way. But those are big names. That's happening all over the country to millions of people. I mean, the harvest is plenty, the workers are few. The revival that's already here is amazing. And that's eventually going to impact the politics of the country if we disciple. But we've got to disciple. We can't just get them to walk the aisle.
And that's what you're doing.
You've got to disciple them.
That's what you're doing. And I love the fact that you do not see a separation of church and state.
Right.
Kind of riff on that for a bit. This I call it CNN revisionism,
right?
Where, hey, knock yourself out on your faith, just keep it in the 4 walls of your church.
Yeah.
But we're over here in the real world where things happen, and God says no.
And not only God, the founding fathers said no. I mean, even Jefferson didn't mean what people think he meant by wall of separation of church and state. If he did, he violated it the next day when he went to church at the Capitol on federal property.
And that's not Rick's opinion. I mean, he just spurted that out. And you might be saying, oh, that's Rick's opinion. Wait a minute. Isn't it Jefferson, like you said a moment ago, wasn't the first real mega church
right there in the Capitol?
In the U.S. Capitol, while Jefferson was president, if I remember right.
Yeah. You're right. And he'd helped start it because he was vice president under Adams. And so he's president of the Senate, and so he had to sign off on them starting to hold the church services there.
Didn't he call for the Marine Corps band?
Yes, exactly. And the guy that he went to hear speak was his friend John Leland, who was a preacher from Virginia, and he said, Christianity is the best religion, so I need to give it sanction from the President of the United States because we want more people to live like this. So anyway, that's Jefferson himself. Yeah. But even just think about it. Even if Jefferson did want quote unquote separation of church and state, you Christians shouldn't be involved in politics. Even if which is not what he wanted at all. He didn't believe that at all. But even if all the lies are true, just think logically about this as a Christian. Nobody drives away from one of your sermons on being a good husband and a good father or a good mother and a good wife, and on the way home say, man, Jack was on fire. That was a good sermon. Wish we could use it at home, but separation of home and church.
There you go.
No way. Why? You don't say a good sermon on how to be a good employee or a good employee or a good worker. You don't drive away and say, man, I wish I could use that tomorrow at work, but separation of work and church. Why in the world do we separate anything from church? God's supposed to influence everything in our life and be God over everything in our life. But the left is crafty, man. Satan's crafty. I mean, that was a lie that allowed us to really neuter most of the church in America. I mean, we are in the minority within not just evangelical, but the overall church in America with actually believing that our faith should influence even our politics.
My gosh.
That's got to change, man. And it is changing. We're starting to win people over. But anyway, that's my take on separation of church and state.
Well, I have to say this. I wasn't planning on saying this, but because of you and David Barton, what you guys have poured into my life over the years, I have to tell you what happened this week. So this week, I wound up giving a 4-hour deposition.
Wow.
Regarding a case, and I was a witness. And so the defense attorney, I was on the plaintiff's side. So the defense attorney from this pharmaceutical corporation said to me, I've reviewed your social media, I've reviewed your history. Is it true that you teach your people to get involved in politics? And I said, yes, but it's greater than that. What do you mean greater than that? I said, it's not that it's just politics. I said, the Christian is to be involved in everything. And he said, well, aren't you aware of the separation of church and state? And I said, because this guy's a big deal, this attorney, I mean, I don't know him, but I'm not going to mention the name of the corporation that hires him. He can't be a fly-by-night attorney.
Yeah.
He's got to be a big deal. And I said, I actually think you know that the First Amendment says this. And he said, yes, you are correct. He said, have you ever committed a felony? And I said, no, I haven't. And he goes, are you sure? I'm going to ask you again. Have you ever committed a felony? And I want to remind you, you're under oath. And I'm thinking, what is this guy talking about? And I said, no. And he said, did you not, on such and such a date, say that what I'm about to do is against the law? But I'm encouraging everyone to be pro-life and to vote for Steve Garvey for senator running against Adam Schiff in California. And in fact, did you not walk out in front of the podium acknowledging that it's against the law from behind this podium to do that? So you stepped in front of the podium. He was exactly right.
Wow.
And I said, yes, I did. And he said, isn't that committing a felony? And I said, to be honest with you, I've been doing that ever since I got hooked up with a bunch of guys called the Black Robe Regiment. And I said, we deliberately do that every year to challenge the Johnson Amendment.
Yeah.
And you know what he did? This is what he did. He went like this. He goes, he smiled. He was from Houston.
Huh.
He smiled and he just gave a nod. It was the most, I could tell he approved.
Wow.
But it was weird what he was leading on.
Yeah.
And I thought, that was your influence and Barton's influence in my life.
And of course, as you know, the IRS has now settled that deal and said you guys can absolutely do that. And it's so funny. I thought much the same way.
Rick! You need to call Rick Green and David Barton.
you probably felt the same way when he asked it. You're like, I am so loaded for bear on this. You know, You're like, please ask me this question. And
yes.
I was doing an interview, 2 weeks ago with some hostile media, let's just say.
Yeah, sure.
And they started asking those types of questions. And I mean, I was like, hold my beer, or hold my sparkling water or whatever. I was like, it was just, I think God's prepared us for this, bro. We've been doing this, you, David, Tony Perkins, I mean, all these guys for 25 years. We've been prepared for this battle right now.
Can you feel it? Don't you feel it? Don't you know it?
And that's like with the 250. It's like he literally brought all this together so that in this moment, and I don't know if you've noticed how much President Trump in the White House, the stuff on the 250th is all faith-based.
Completely.
They've asked for every faith story we can possibly give them. I mean, they're willing to highlight everything, all the good stuff.
I'm super happy to be, I'm going to be on the 4th, I think it's the 4th of July, but I'm at Plymouth at the Mayflower on that day giving a message.
Oh, that's great.
And all of this stuff that's being, I don't even know who's setting this stuff up, but across the nation, I mean, 2026.
We're asking for we've got a new course out called Rebuilding Liberty, and it uses a little bit of the stuff we did with you in biblical citizenship and other folks too. But we're shooting for 5,000 celebrations all over the country. So that's 1/4 of the communities in America. We're not even trying to get all of them. And literally in the celebration on July 4th. To get up and read the Declaration of Independence, read those words. We're endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, and have a big blown up one where you have everybody come forward and sign it. That's what we do at all our trainings. We have people sign the Declaration of Independence. So I think it's going to be huge. The president, the White House is helping a lot. There's all these organizations. We're hoping to partner with 100 different organizations, all the family policy councils, all the groups out there like that to use this 4-week course because it's not enough to have fireworks that are going to fizzle.
That's right.
It's not enough to just have hot dogs. We need between now and then. That when I say the only reason I know it's a little over 300 days, I'm counting it down because that's our window to educate Americans on why they're waving the flag on July 4th, right? So you're going to be that's going to be a great place to do it. I wish I don't have enough pull. Maybe you do. I would love to be at the White House for the UFC fights. That's what I was hoping for. But no, we're gonna at the campus at Patriot Academy. We're building Independence Hall, so we're rebuilding. We're going to do a replica, and I'm hoping I'm cutting the ribbon on July 4th.
Wow.
But anyway, the beauty is every community in America is going to be doing something.
Yeah.
So everybody out there watching, whatever's going on in your community, get involved in those things so you can influence what's going to be said that day and the types of things they're going to do.
That's a good word. What if somebody watching right now, they're not sure if their community's planning anything?
Yes. Oh, man.
Should they go to the city council meeting and ask?
100%. And I hate to be a self-promoter here, but
Please,
go
please.
to patriotacademy.com, sign up for the Rebuild Liberty class. I've got a book coming out in just about a month called A Blueprint for Rebuilding Liberty Just in Time for America's 250th, and it'll walk you through how to do that. How do you get plugged in with the right groups in your community to be a part of the celebration?
When's the book coming out?
About a month. Hopefully Constitution Day, September
Wait a minute.
17th.
Is it available pre-sale right now?
It's not. So if I send you to my, if you go there now, I'm going to be in trouble with my team. But you can.
Wait. Yes. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
But what's the name of the book?
Rebuilding Liberty. A Blueprint for Rebuilding Liberty.
A Blueprint for Rebuilding Liberty.
Just in time for America's 250th.
It's not on pre-order yet.
Right.
Is it? When will it hit the shelves?
The best thing to do is go to patriotacademy.com and sign up for the email list, and then you'll get a notice when it's ready.
Please do that.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And it's a lot more than just doing the celebrations. It's getting the 10 Commandments in your local school or at your local courthouse. It's getting In God We Trust on the dais. It's restoring parental rights. It's restoring property rights. We've got I'm not kidding when I say it's a 12-step recovery program for the country. But you don't have to do all 12 like you do your personal 12-step. You just got to pick one or two. But everybody can do something. That's the thing. You got to give people action right now in this window. If we do this right, Jack, we can rebuild the walls. You know, I told David the other day, I said, man, I've been with you 25 years. I thought we were rebuilding the walls. We haven't been. We've been stuck in chapter 2 of Nehemiah, convincing the king to let us rebuild. But now the king, we the people,
the king has saying,
said, go rebuild.
Go.
And so now we get to put the right bricks in place, the right mortar. It's all there, man. That's what I mean when I say he's prepared us for this moment. All the stuff you've been teaching all these years, now is the time for literally the apex of this part of being a good biblical citizen.
Rick, will you promise to come back when the book is out,
I'd love
please?
to. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Let's get that book out there. Let's get it to be a bestseller. We're going to also make sure that we make it an item of the month on our various platforms.
Cool.
And
Love it.
yeah, we'll get that out.
It'll give people things to do, even if they don't kick in until, say, January, but start now. Because, another thing people can do is Constitution Day. Every school is supposed to do something on the Constitution. It's federal law. If they take any federal money, they're supposed to study the Constitution that day. Well, we have a little 45-minute class on the Constitution that it's free, take it into the school and say to the teacher or the principal, if you haven't had time to put anything together, this is federal law, you're supposed to do it, and get them to do that class. And it's going to be teaching them the Declaration, and we hold these truths and all that. And that's patriotacademy.com too.
Please take advantage of this, everybody. I didn't know that. So whatever hamlet, town, village, or city you're in, school districts, pull that off. This is a great, great way to end this podcast where you've got marching orders now. And so where can people watch you? Where can people hear you? The YouTube, where, what? Facebook, what?
If you go to patriotacademy.com, you can link right into Patriot U. That's our very small streaming channel, but it's where you get. I do a show called The Tavern because I love all the Revolutionary War taverns, and it's it's a restaurant. It's not a bar. Just for all my friends that are worried.
Some of the greatest battle plans were planned in taverns.
Oh man, the Constitution was ratified in a tavern in Delaware, the first state, the first one to ratify. Anyway, so I do a show once a week called The Tavern, where it's kind of like this, and I like what you said. I think people enjoy this. This is more fun than any media that we do because we just get to go, man. We just get to have a real conversation. It feels like y'all are with us. Anyway, that's how The Tavern is. And then I do Wall Builders Radio every day of the week. So all that you can find at patriotu.com or patriotacademy.com.
Yep. You guys, patriotacademy.com, Rick Green. I love this guy. By God's grace, we're welded hip and heart. And I just love that. So we've got a lot to do. We've got our nation's 250th birthday coming up. But we need to fight even now. With all that's going on in our communities, we need to stand strong. And so we'll have Rick back. And once again, the book is going to be in about a month.
Yeah, it'll be right after Constitution Day. We're so close. We're doing the final edits, and hopefully it'll be maybe by Constitution Day, September 17th.
October?
By the end of September for sure.
By the end of September for sure. We'll make sure we're going to be reminding you guys. But Rick, it's just always great to have you.
Appreciate you,
we
man.
just don't have you
I'll
enough.
walk shields with you anytime, brother.
Did you guys
Absolutely.
ever make it to all the baseball stadiums?
I got 2 left, brother. I got 2 left.
Which ones are left?
I got Minnesota and Milwaukee. Those are the 2 I haven't done
Incredible.
yet.
Incredible. Awesome. God bless you guys until next time. Thanks.
This Jack Hibbs podcast, as well as all the broadcast outreach opportunities, are listener supported. Will you consider partnering with us through a special gift? Go to jackhibbs.com to learn more and stay connected.